Medicaid recipients can retain ownership of their home provided the home equity doesn't exceed that eligibility threshold. So a threshold for eligibility is measured two ways primarily. One is income based, and it's also measured on the basis of your assets. So as long as the assets don't prevent the eligibility, fine. As long as the income doesn't prevent eligibility, you're fine. You are therefore eligible to receive the benefits.
Welcome to the Carolina Senior Talk Podcast, your trusted source for all things related to senior living in the Carolinas. In each episode, we'll guide you through the best locations, offer advice on buying a home, and share tips on relocating within this beautiful region. Whether you're exploring new senior communities, considering a move, or looking to invest in your current dream home, we've got you covered. So sit back, relax, and get ready to discover everything you need to know about senior living in the Carolinas.
Hi, my friends. Were you aware that Medicaid recipients, their real estate, their homes can actually be a lien can actually be placed on their home? A lot of people don't realize this. This came to my attention as a realtor from the North Carolina Real Estate Commission as an awareness bulletin that we as realtors need to be aware of when we consult with our clients. So let's talk about this in more detail, because if you know somebody who's receiving Medicaid, or you're dealing with administering an estate where they received Medicaid, this is something you want to be very much aware of. So what is Medicaid? Well, first of all, Medicaid is a needs-based health program, insurance, if you will, that was co-funded by the federal government as well as the state. Now, the state is the actual administrator of the program. It's administered at a state level across all 50 states. In our case, it's the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services who is the administrator of the program. So now, what is the relationship between a recipient's home and the eligibility for Medicaid? Well, that's an interesting question. Medicaid recipients can retain ownership of their home provided the home equity doesn't exceed that eligibility threshold. So a threshold for eligibility is measured two ways primarily. One is income based, and it's also measured on the basis of your assets. So as long as the assets don't prevent the eligibility, fine. As long as the income doesn't prevent eligibility, you're fine. You are therefore eligible to receive the benefits. So it's designed for low income, low asset recipients, if you will. So that's the relationship. Now, what does a Medicaid lien do? In fact, well, really, it's a mechanism that Medicaid has to recoup the funds that may have expended for high cost care. So imagine if somebody has gone into long-term care or nursing home care. That's a very expensive proposition, and so as a result, the lien enables them to recover those costs after. Key here is after the property is sold. After the property is sold, you also have some protections in place to prevent inappropriate foreclosure. They don't really foreclose, but you can't exercise the lien if certain things exist. So, for example, if your spouse or the recipient's spouse still resides in the property. That's one condition. The second condition would be if there's a minor or a child who resides in the property. A third condition would be if an adult child who is the primary caregiver of the Medicaid recipient is residing in that property. So all of those prevent any lien from being exercised. Really, a lien can't be exercised until the property is sold. That's the key. So what's the impact on a real estate transaction? That's where we come into play, and that's why they sent out this bulletin to make sure we were aware of this. Well, sellers have to be aware that they could have a challenge if a Medicaid lien exists. So that's the first place we go, is to make sure we understand if a lien exists, and that the lien has to be satisfied in full upon the sale of the property. Down the road, at closing, it has to be satisfied in full before you can fully close and transfer title to a property. A lot of confusion sometimes occurs when you talk about eligibility. Well, my house is exempt. Well, it's exempt from a eligibility standpoint, yes, but is not exempt from a lien recovery standpoint. So that's where there needs to be some clear understanding of the difference. The process of determining the lien amount and obtaining sale approval can, in fact, delay the transaction. So that's where the impact of a lien on a real estate transaction comes into play. So, as professionals, as a real estate professional, broker, okay, it's my job to make sure that I'm aware that this could exist. It's my job to make sure that there might be circumstances where Medicaid could be in play, and discuss this and make sure there is an awareness with the prospective seller. And also to make sure I ask the questions. As realtors, we are obligated to look for reasonable material facts. And this is a material fact. It is a cloud on the title. So that needs to be disclosed to a potential buyer. And so we want to avoid that or have workarounds in place before we get into that situation. So it's our obligation to ask that question. The other thing that we need to do is recognize what we're not. We are not, as realtors, attorneys. And so as a consequence, it's our responsibility to make sure we act ethically within our lane and help our clients address the potential Medicaid lien issues before they or you get into any type of contract or closing type situation. So our best advice and the most important advice, meaningful advice, is to have you as a seller or you as a guardian or an heir, make sure you consult with an attorney who specializes in Medicaid or elder law to help navigate the lien-related issues. Now, there are some strategies that you might want to ask the attorney about. So, for example, before you even receive Medicaid, right up front in the process, make sure that you ask the question of, well, how can I do some asset planning to avoid recovery against my real estate. The mechanisms that an attorney might have a conversation with you about might include either establishing a life estate or an irrevocable trust. And what these do is they remove the home from Medicaid recipient's estate, protecting it from recovery. The third thing that you may want to give consideration to is, well, if there's somebody who's going to be taking care of the recipient, okay, make sure that you document the caregiving arrangements so that you meet any exemption rules that might be in play. An attorney could give you much more detail on that. But an adult child or family member, if they're providing significant care, you want to take care of them in that situation too. So yes, Medicaid lien is a real thing that we as realtors have to deal with. And I wanted to share it with you because this is the forum where we discuss all things senior. And I can't think of a more appropriate topic to discuss and keep you informed. I hope that was helpful. If you have questions, perhaps you need an elder care attorney. I'll be happy to send you several names that I can forward to you and let you reach out to them. It would be my pleasure. If you have any other questions, please reach out to me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to the Carolina Senior Talk podcast. We hope you found today's episode both informative and helpful. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. If you enjoyed today's show, please leave us a review and share it with those who might benefit from our advice. If you or anyone you know is looking to buy, sell, or relocate to the Carolinas, or you simply want to know how much equity you have in your home, be sure to contact me at www.carolinaseniortalk.com. Until next time, we wish you the best on your senior living journey in the Carolinas. Thank you for listening once again, and talk to you soon.